Hi, friends. Hey, welcome back to Have I Told You the One About? Have I told you the one about the oil thieves? I love this story, mostly because I'm the hero of this story. So many terrible things have happened to me in my life, and this one, you know, anyways, let's just get right into it. But, I always say that, and then I always have something. It's my routine. I plan it that way, right? I have two birthday surprises today, or two birthdays, shout outs. The first is my friend Dusk, who's Radical Fairy, and he's amazing. I have a million people who have birthdays today, but Dusk, he's someone special. So I'm giving him a special shout out. And my second shout out is to somebody even more special because he's had a baby and made a baby in my biological family. And Dusk has not impregnated anybody who is related to me. My niece's husband, so my nephew by marriage, my nephew, Alex, turns 30 today. 30. And they have this gorgeous baby that I'm madly in love with, my great niece. How old am I? Everybody wants to know. Birthday shout outs to all my friends, but particularly Alex and Dusk. You're great men in the world. So, the Oil Thieves. I love this story. A long time ago, when I was a teenager, I had jobs. I mentioned this already. I had jobs when I was really young. I had paperwork shit jobs for your whole life. So I ended up working at a gas station. My best friend, Michael, who lives in Taiwan, we went to visit him 5 years ago. He's amazing. We've known each other. Well, he was my best friend growing up. And so now he's like my brother. I call his mom, and I see his mom and his sister whenever I go to home. Like it's like visiting family. They're family. Michael and I've known each other since we were 3, and he was a year older than me, and he got a job at this gas station. I think it was called Can Go then. Anyways, it jumped around to a few locations, and t-shirt with a little patch on it that said Can Go. And I was like, I had a job with a uniform when I was 15. I thought I was really fancy, but I was a big sissy even then. I've always been a sissy. I didn't grow into this. I grew back into this, I guess. So I was a big sissy at 15. I was super neurotic and I was starting to grow my hair out. And I'd never pumped gas before. So Michael said, well, I think I can get you a job at the gas station, but if you've never pumped gas before, like, let's not tell Jill, the owner, I'm going to show you how to do it. You just come on one of my shifts. And I used to hang out with Michael at work all the time. When he worked at a bakery, I'd go and he'd work the night shift. And a couple times I went and ruined my shoes making donuts in the back of the bakery. And so Michael said, okay, well, just come to work and we'll hang out and I'll show you how to pump gas. And I'm like, okay, sure. So we picked the day, whatever it was. And I show up at 5:00. Jill leaves right away. And we do a little like hello or whatever. And Michael had told him that I was looking for a job. So he had a look-see. And Jill leaves and Michael and I are chatting, and Jill had bad luck. He just owned gas stations where people didn't go for gas, which was weird. So it was fairly quiet and we were hanging out for a little bit, being social. And suddenly a car pulls up and Michael's like, okay, well, let's, go do this. So he tells the guy the guy tells him he wants $20. And I start Michael sets up the gas, shows me how to do it, puts it in the thing, turns the thing on, puts the nozzle in. And in that day, they had the handle nozzle where it had the little lever and it had 3 steps and you could put it on low, medium, or high, and it would just pump the gas. So you could go wash the windshield or check the oil or whatever. So Michael didn't show me how the nozzle worked. He just stuck the nozzle in and it started to pump, and he didn't walk me through all the motions. And then and all of a sudden the gas meter runs over the $20. And Michael says, turn it off, turn it off. And I said, I don't know how. He said, just pull it out. So I pulled it out and the gas started pouring out, like, right? I was hanging onto the handle to the nozzle. And he said, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And I was like, I don't know how. And he said, drop it. So I dropped it Meanwhile, the guy's sitting in the car, gas poured all over the back of his car. He gets out of the car because we're both freaking out, yelling at each other, these two kids. And, the gas turns off, obviously, because I released the nozzle. And the guy comes around and he's not very happy. And Michael's like, I'm so sorry. I'm training my friend. I didn't show him properly, which was really nice of him. And I didn't know what to say. Like, sorry, I'm a faggot. I don't know how to pump gas. I'm a loser. My dad's a drunk. I don't know how to do anything. Which is really what I was feeling. I was so humiliated. Anyways, Michael tries to wipe off. He uses like the squeegee and tries to get water on it and tries to wipe off the gas. He goes, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. You just give it a little rinse with water, it'll be fine. And some of the rust was coming off. I was like, Michael, stop doing that. It was so awful. Anyways, that was my first time. That came in very handy years later. I used that phrase again many times in my early days. It's the only joke I had pre-planned. I thought of that one while I was waiting for supper to cook. Anyways, so Gilles was this, Gilles, my boss, he ended up hiring me. We didn't tell him about the accident. He hired me. I worked there from 15 to 19. I worked there for 4 years at the gas station. It was really slow, so I could do homework and I got paid. And, I was autonomous. I had my own evening job. People would come hang out. Michael would hang out with me, or I'd go hang out with him on his shift. My first boyfriend would come hang out with me. I got my first boyfriend while I was a gas pumper. And I used to get a secret thrill whenever I'd get some man who was like super macho and he was kind of an asshole. And I'd get a real thrill of shoving the nozzle in the car and think, yeah, I'm penetrating your car with my gas nozzle. Your car's being fucked by a faggot. It was the 90s, it was the 80s. It was the 80s. We were radical back then. So I get a job doing this, and I'm there for years. And near the end, because I know it was late, I was dating Dana at the time. So it must have been near the end. I was around 18 when this happened. I saw this truck pull in. It was a big cube van that was a delivery truck, and it was from Quebec. It had a sign on the side of the truck. And I remember when they pulled in, because I was outside doing something, and they pulled in really slow, and they were sort of looking at me and laughing. Now, when I lived in Cornwall, I was thinking, oh, somebody texted me to say there was a glitch during the joke. I thought I fixed the mofo glitch. Oh, well, I don't know what the joke was. Oh, what was the joke? Oh, the joke was, can we go back? Who cares, right? Who cares? I'm going back because that's how stories around the dinner table work. You listen to me meander. The joke was, that whenever the gas, it's such a terrible joke. Michael told me to pull it out to pull the nozzle out. And that came in handy. That phrase came in handy years later when I was, experimenting. So those guys were from Quebec. They were in a big cube van. They were making a delivery at one of the restaurants. And I remember when they pulled in, I was outside and I was looking like a sissy. And they were all there were two of them in the front of the cab, and they were looking at me and laughing. Now, you might think, okay, they could have been telling a joke. But when you're a faggot from a blue-collar town, it's a mill town, you just need to know how to read people so you can keep yourself alive. I was very good at reading people. I knew when people were making fun of me because that was my cue to exit. And 99.9% of the time, I was fucking right. And so these guys were looking at me and laughing, and I thought, whatever, jerks. So I go in to do my thing. They pull along and do their delivery, and I just paid attention because there's nothing else to do. So I noticed that it was a delivery van, and I noticed it was from Quebec because the sign was in French. Cornwall was only about 20 minutes from the Quebec border. We were only an hour from Montreal on the 401 highway on the St. Lawrence River, which divides North America, the United States and Canada. I'm thinking off the top of my head. Don't hate me. My geography is weird. So they made their delivery, and then they came in and they got gas. And then I knew that they were just being assholes. So they pulled in on the middle is are the pumps, and so you can pull into either side. Well, they had a big cube van, and they pulled in right between my window and the pumps, and it was this massive van, like they could barely get it in. They were just trying to be assholes and torment me. So they pull in really slowly, and they're, the one guy who was driving was a little bit hot. He had sort of curly locks of hair and was sandy blonde, and his buddy had long curly hair, and he looked like they looked like they were right out of a movie. My mom would have called them Mutt and Jeff. They looked like Mutt and Jeff. They were just two bros who had they were probably 27, and they had a great big cube van they got to drive to the other province to make deliveries. So they were assholes. I pumped their gas for them. They wanted like $20, so they didn't really need gas. And they washed their windshields and were just generally kind of being assholes to me. And then they pulled out. And when you pull out from my gas station, the light is right there. It's an intersection, and you can pull right onto the road that takes you up to Quebec, takes you to the highway. So to the shift, I have to do all the inventory. I count all the bags of chips, and I count there's a rack of oil that's sits out right next to the pumps. I have to count those. I have to count the windshield washer fluid. And you do all the inventory. You see how much you sold. You keep track of what you'd sold, and you balance your books, right? You balance your cash for the night. So I would do all that, and I turn everything off and lock up. Well, I'm missing an oil when I go through the whole thing. And I was like, you know what? I didn't sell that oil. I don't have the money for that oil. I don't have a record for that oil. Those fuckers that pulled out really slowly, I couldn't see what was happening. He must have leaned out the window and grabbed one of the oil, because the one that was missing and the rack was on the top shelf. I filled them up. So I know they're always full because I always fill them up. And there's one missing on the top shelf. So he reached out the window and grabbed one. So I was really mad. And I told Gilles, my boss, the next day. Gilles was a really nice guy, but we had a mutual understanding. We were opposites. I thought he was a very handsome not gay man. Oops. I thought he was a very handsome man, but he was kind of like short and strawberry blonde, and he was really hairy. He had this tuft of hair that came out here. It was so sexy. Anyways, and I think we were opposites. He thought that I was a smart, stupid person. I was smart but stupid. And I thought he was stupid but smart. Smart when he wasn't being stupid. So we had a mutual respect where we sort of, I was one of those guys that was smart but stupid, right? Like blue collar people think if you read a book, you're kind of dumb, but then you know some things and they're like, okay, he does know some things. And he didn't read any books, so I thought he was kind of dumb, but he actually knew some things. But anyways, Gilles liked me, respected me, but made me pay for that mofo oil. I was an 18-year-old kid working a job after school so I could go to university, and he's charging me for theft. I told him what happened. I told him where I thought it went. I'd been working there for 4 years. It's not like he thought I'd never cheated him before, right? I didn't need oil for my car. So whatever. A week goes by, and don't I see that truck again? The same day of the week. I have the same shifts every week. It was the same day of the week. The truck comes in about the same time, and I'm like, these are regular delivery people. OMG. And as soon as they pull around the corner, they're looking at me and they're laughing. They're giving me this shit-eating grin, like the Cheshire Cat, because here I am, the faggot again. And there they are, the bullies. Well, I write down the name of the company and the phone number. I notice where they parked their truck, so I know which business they went to. They went to the Romano's restaurant. I wrote down their license plate when they pulled past me, and there was a phone number on the side of the truck. So I knew all of the information I needed to know about them. And sure enough, half an hour later, just like last time, they pull in right next to where I am. I give them $20 of gas. Oh, maybe I gave them $5. They only asked for $5. I swear they probably only asked for $5. They were being such assholes. And they took all my squeegees. I had 2 squeegees. They took both squeegees and they washed the mud flaps of their truck. So the squeegees were ruined. And then they put them back in. So I couldn't wash windows for the rest of the night. And Jill was not going to charge me for those squeegees because that is not my responsibility. They just picked them up and did it when my back was turned because I was pumping gas and I couldn't see what they were doing. So, anyways, I was going to be very clear with him this time. And when I saw the truck pull in, smart little Michael, 18-year-old me, I counted how many oils there were so I would know for sure how many were in the rack. And they give me their $5 in gas money. I go inside. They pull out really slowly, laughing slowly, like they were inching forward like this. And I thought, that fucker's leaning out the window again. So I just wait until they pull out. And as soon as I can see, I go to the back of the little cubicle so I get a really good angle. And I see there's oils missing. And I hightail it out of the little door. And I go up to the side of the truck while it's walking. And I'm yelling at them, or while it's driving, I'm walking after it. I'm yelling at them on the passenger side. I'm going, hey, 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 you stop. You've got my oil. And they get stopped at the light. The light isn't green. So I bang on the side of the door and the guy looks at me and I say, you motherfucker, you've got my fucking oil. You give me back my oil. There are 13 oil in there when you pulled in. You stole one from me last week. And the guy's like, I don't have your oil. I don't have your oil. What are you talking about? I don't have your oil. I'm like, I've got the name of your company. I've got your license plate. I've got the place you delivered to. He's handing me, like 2 liters. Is it a liter? I don't know. What do I know? A liter of oil, whatever it is. He starts handing them out the window to me. And I'm just like a little kid. Like I'm 18. I was probably 5'10", and I weighed 120 pounds. And I have these long arms and I'm piling the oil in my arms, 13 of them, piling them in my arms. I'm counting while he's giving them to me. He's 1, 2. He gave me 3. And then he says, I don't have any more. And I think that's when I said, oh, yeah, I got all this information on you. So he starts giving me more. And so he gives me 12. And the light turns green. And the truck starts to pull out. And I'm practically running after them. And I say, there's only 12 here. I counted. There's 13. Don't make me send the police after you because I'm not paying for your oil another week. And he reaches in and he gives me the other oil. And I'm like, don't you fucking come back here again, or your name is Mud, or whatever. I'm going to call the police. And so I go back, I walk back, and I'm dropping all the oils while I'm walking. I'm walking back, picking up oil. And I go into the thing, and I put it all down on the counter. And I almost shit myself. I was so freaked out. My heart raced like you wouldn't believe. But I thought to myself, well, look at that. I am a faggot hero. And, that's the Oil Thieves. Highlight of my teen years. It's probably the first time I ever actually found my power. Like being able to stand up for myself, say, that's not fair, be very articulate. It was an amazing moment. It was gorgeous. Okay, so that's my story. I want to tell you some things. I want to show you some pictures of people who sent look, people are taking selfies and they're sending them. Look, that's my fairy friend Thimbleberry. He's a sweetheart. I adore him. Look at that, adorable. Wow, so nice. That was from last night. Here's my friend Joanne, who I work with. She's sitting there watching me. It's not quite a selfie, but it kind of is. Look at the size of my face. Holy cow, I need to trim in my nose hairs, I think, if she's going to watch me on the screen that big. I got to do better manicuring. Here's my sweetheart friend. Well, I don't know what to call him, but this is my radical fairy friend. He has a million names. So he wrote this little thing about me being amazing, which is so sweet. Maybe you see it backwards, but here he is. This is my favorite. He's giving me a little kiss. Look how sweet that is. Oh, I love it. Anyways, let's call him Spider because that'll do. So I love my friends. Oh, look. Oh no, he wrote Zachary. It's Zachary Michaud. He's right there. He wrote in it. So I can say his name. You can take selfies and send them to me and I'll show them. And it helps me know who's listening and it helps you know who you are listening. And it gives us a greater sense of community. These are the people who are paying attention while you're, paying attention too. This is who I've brought together for this weird experience of internet gabbing, saying whatever I want. I need to draw the story for tomorrow from the Sing It With Me Magic Story Bag. See, look, I always look inside like I'm not supposed to. Goodness, tomorrow. I've been dying for this story. The volcano walk. I know it sounds like all my stories are amazing and I love them all, but I kind of do. But this one really is amazing. This is a really good story. I want to remind you to like my page and share your favorite video wherever, and subscribe to the channel if you want to be able to find it easily, and use the notification bell. And I think that's everything. Look. Okay, I love you. I'm happy. I hope you're happy too. Times are hard and we only have this moment. So look around the room and realize there's no threat in the room. You're fine. You're going to be great. And so am I. And it really helps me knowing you're out there watching. And I don't know, just sharing the love. I feel like I'm sending the love out and the love's coming back. And it is delicious to be alive in a moment where we can help each other. Bye, sweethearts.